The year was 2157 and humanity had spread beyond Earth to build homes on Mars and Europa. Quantum communication technology let people talk to each other across space without any delay. The United Nations Space Administration, known as UNSA, was now in charge of everything humans did away from Earth. Commander Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the UNSA ship Intrepid as it moved through space near Neptune. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and short brown hair that was starting to show gray at the temples. His blue uniform was crisp and neat as he watched the main screen showing the dark space ahead. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," said Officer Ryan Jones from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he tried to understand what the sensors were telling him. Daniel walked over and looked at the readings. "What is it?" "Some kind of energy pattern I've never seen before," Ryan said. His young face showed confusion as he continued to check the data. Suddenly, the space in front of the Intrepid began to twist and bend. A circle of bright blue light formed, growing larger until it was bigger than their ship. The crew watched in silence as a massive vessel emerged from the light. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. The ship was shaped like a giant teardrop, with a shimmering surface that seemed to change colors as they watched. "Scan that vessel," Daniel ordered. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. This was first contact with an alien species, something humanity had wondered about for centuries. "Officer." Olivia Martinez worked at the communications station. She was in her mid-30s with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes widened as her console lit up with activity. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," she said. "It's being broadcast in multiple Earth languages." "Put it on the main screen," Daniel ordered. The face that appeared wasn't human. The being had pale blue skin with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Its eyes were large and completely black. When it spoke, its mouth moved in ways that didn't quite match the words they heard. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Z. Keitala of the Galactic Council. We request an immediate meeting with your leaders. We have been observing your species for some time." Daniel stepped forward. "This is Commander Daniel Wright of the United Nations Space Administration vessel Intrepid. We welcome you to our solar system. I will need to contact Earth to arrange this meeting." The alien nodded, a very human gesture that seemed odd on its non-human face. "We will wait. Please inform your leaders that this matter is of the highest importance." Back on Earth, ANSA Director Samantha Carter received the message in her office. In New York, she was a woman in her 50s with short blonde hair and a reputation for staying calm in a crisis. This would certainly test that reputation. She immediately called an emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council within hours. A team was assembled in the ANSA headquarters. Samantha stood at the head of a long table, looking at the people she had called together. Diplomat John Nelson sat to her right, a man known for his skill in difficult negotiations. Dr. Lauren Hayes, the leading expert in theoretical xenobiology, sat across from him, her red hair pulled back in a ponytail as she reviewed data on her tablet. General Richard Phillips, head of Earth's combined military forces, stood by the window, his gray uniform decorated with medals from his long service. "The aliens have requested a meeting at the Lunar Diplomatic Station," Samantha told them. "They claim to represent something called the Galactic Council. Do we believe them?" asked General Phillips. His voice was deep and suspicious. "We have no reason not to at this point," Samantha replied. "Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. The fact that they're asking for a meeting instead of simply taking what they want suggests they follow some kind of diplomatic protocol." "Or they're testing us," John Nelson suggested. His fingers tapped thoughtfully on the table. "Seeing how we respond could tell them a lot about us as a species." Dr. Hayes looked up from her tablet. "From what Commander Wright has sent us, their biology is fascinating. Their ship's size suggests they come from a world with gravity similar to ours, but their physical features indicate possible adaptation to different atmospheric conditions." "That's all very interesting," General Phillips said, "but what matters is what they want and whether they pose a threat." 3 days later, the Earth delegation arrived at the Lunar Diplomatic Station. The facility had been built 10 years earlier, as a neutral meeting place for Earth nations, but today it would serve a much greater purpose. The station was a series of domes connected by tunnels, built into the edge of a crater on the moon's surface. Through the clear dome ceilings, Earth was visible as a blue and white sphere against the black of space. The alien ship had positioned itself in orbit around the moon. A smaller craft separated from it and descended toward the station. Samantha stood with her team in the main reception area, watching through the windows as the alien shuttle landed on the designated pad. The airlock doors opened, and an Ambassador ZKTLA entered along with 4 other aliens. They were all similar in appearance, but with subtle differences in the patterns on their skin and the colors of their clothing. They walked with a grace that seemed unnatural, as if the moon's gravity didn't affect them the way it did humans. "Director Carter," the ambassador said, inclining its head. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting." Samantha stepped forward. "Welcome to the Lunar Diplomatic Station. This is Diplomat John Nelson, Dr. Lauren Hayes, and General Richard Phillips." The ambassador nodded to each of them. "I represent the Zoraxians, one of 27 species that form the Galactic Council. We have been observing Earth since your species first split the atom in the 1940s. The humans exchanged glances at this revelation. The aliens had been watching them for over 2 centuries. "Please, let us sit and discuss why you have come," Samantha said, gesturing to the large round table in the center of the room. Once they were all seated, Ambassador Zikatala placed a small device in the center of the table. It projected a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. A small blue light marked the location of Earth's solar system. "Your world sits at a critical junction of natural hyperspace pathways," the ambassador explained. "These pathways allow for faster-than-light travel between systems. Your solar system's position makes it strategically valuable. Are you proposing some kind of trade agreement for access to these pathways?" John Nelson asked. The ambassador's black eyes seemed to grow colder. "No, Diplomat Nelson. I am here to inform you of the Council's requirements. Earth will surrender control of its solar system to the Galactic Council. Additionally, 1 million humans will be required to serve as administrative assistants in Council facilities throughout the galaxy." The room fell silent. General Phillips was the first to recover. "And if we refuse?" "You have 30 Earth days to comply," the ambassador said, ignoring the question. "Arrangements will be made for the selection and transport of the required human resources." "Ambassador," Samantha said, keeping her voice steady despite her shock, "surely we can discuss terms that would be mutually beneficial. Earth would be open to establishing diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, and the terms are not negotiable." The ambassador interrupted. "The Council has made its decision. What happens if we don't agree to these terms?" Dr. Hayes asked directly. Ambassador Zikatala touched the device on the table again. The galactic map disappeared, replaced by an image of a planet similar to Earth. As they watched, beams of energy struck the planet from orbit. The surface began to glow red, then large chunks broke away as the planet seemed to collapse in on itself. "This was the world of a species that refused Council authority," the ambassador said calmly. "They no longer exist." The humans stared in horror at the destruction displayed before them. 30 days, Ambassador Zikatala repeated, standing up. "We will return for your formal surrender at that time." As the aliens left the room, Samantha and her team remained seated, the weight of what they had just witnessed pressing down on them. "They're not asking," General Phillips said quietly. "They're demanding. This isn't diplomacy, it's an ultimatum." Samantha looked out the window at the alien shuttle as it lifted off from the landing pad. "Get me a secure line to Earth," she said. "We need to talk to every nation and colony immediately. If they think humanity will just roll over and accept slavery, they've seriously misunderstood our species." John Nelson nodded grimly. "They've just made the biggest mistake in their galactic history. They tried to blackmail humanity. And they won't like our response," Samantha finished. The leaders of Earth gathered in the United Nations headquarters in New York City the next day after the meeting with the aliens. The room was filled with tension as Director Samantha Carter explained what had happened on the Lunar Diplomatic Station. The holographic recording of Ambassador Z. Katala's threat and the destruction of an alien world played for all to see. Some people gasped while others sat in stunned silence. General Richard Phillips stood up when the recording ended. His military uniform was decorated with medals from years of service. "We need to prepare for war," he said. "We should start moving our ships into defensive positions and activate all military reserves." John Nelson shook his head. The diplomat's calm voice contrasted with the general's forceful tone. "We can't win a direct fight against their technology. You saw what they did to that planet. We need to buy time and look for other options." Dr. Lauren Hayes raised her hand to speak. The xenobiologist had been studying the scans of the alien visitors. "The Zoraxians have an interesting physical structure. Their bodies seem adapted to a world with higher radiation levels than Earth. This might be a weakness we could exploit." President William Clark of the North American Union looked around the room. He was an older man with gray hair and a serious face. "We have 30 days before they expect an answer. Director Carter, I want you to coordinate all efforts. General Phillips will prepare our defenses. Dr. Hayes will continue studying the aliens. Mr. Nelson will keep talking with the Zoraxians to buy us more time." While the meeting continued on Earth, UNSA Intelligence Officer Eric Williams was working in a small office deep inside the UNSA headquarters. He was a quiet man who preferred working alone. His job was to monitor all communications in the solar system. Since the aliens had arrived, he had been looking for anything unusual. On his screen, he noticed strange patterns in data transmissions between the alien ship and several locations on Earth. Eric called his friend Michelle Garcia, a cybersecurity specialist with short black hair and quick fingers on a keyboard. Together, they worked to decode the alien transmissions. "These don't look like regular communications," Michelle said as she analyzed the data. "They're encrypted, but I'm starting to see patterns." After hours of work, they made a shocking discovery. The aliens had been in contact with humans on Earth long before they officially arrived. The transmissions were going to offices of Global Innovations Corporation, one of the largest companies on Earth. "We need to tell Director Carter right away," Eric said as he gathered the evidence at UNSA headquarters. Samantha listened to Eric and Michelle explain what they had found. Her face grew serious as she understood what it meant. "You're telling me that someone on Earth has been helping the aliens?" "Yes, Director," Eric confirmed. "The communications go back at least 5 years. Someone at Global Innovations has been talking to the Zoraxians long before they showed up." Samantha immediately ordered a small team to investigate Global Innovations. The team discovered that Vincent Harper, the company's CEO, was the main contact with the aliens. He was a tall man with expensive clothes and a cold smile. When UNSA security officers brought him to a secure facility for questioning, he didn't seem worried. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Vincent said as he sat across from Samantha in an interrogation room. "The Zoraxians showed me their power years ago. They can destroy us anytime they want." "What did they promise you?" Samantha asked. Vincent smiled. "A place in the New Order. When they take control, those who help them will be rewarded. They made me see that resistance is pointless." "What have you told them about our defenses?" "Everything they asked for. The locations of all major military installations, our technology, our weaknesses." Vincent leaned forward. "You should join us, Director Carter. It's the only way to survive." Samantha stood up and walked out of the room without another word. In the hallway, she met with General Phillips and John Nelson. "We have a bigger problem than we thought. There are collaborators helping the aliens. They've been sharing information about our defenses for years." General Phillips punched the wall in anger. "Traitors! They've been setting us up all this time." John Nelson remained calm. "This changes our approach. If the aliens already know our strengths and weaknesses, we need a different strategy." Over the next few days, more collaborators were found and arrested. They were all wealthy or powerful people who had been promised special treatment by the Zoraxians. Samantha ordered that the arrests be kept secret. To the outside world and to the aliens watching, everything seemed normal. 2 weeks after the aliens' arrival, Ambassador Zika Tala requested another meeting. This time, the meeting would take place in the UNSA headquarters on Earth. The ambassador and 2 other Zoraxians arrived in a small shuttle that landed on the UNSA landing pad. John Nelson greeted them with a polite smile. "Ambassador, welcome. To Earth, we're preparing to meet your demands, but we need more time to organize everything properly." The ambassador's black eyes studied John's face. "The Council's timeline is not flexible, but we are pleased to hear you are cooperating. We would like to tour some of your facilities to ensure preparations are proceeding as expected." "Of course," John agreed. "We have arranged visits to several key locations." For the next week, the Zoraxians were shown military bases, power plants, and government facilities around the world. At each location, humans appeared to be preparing for the transfer of control. Soldiers were being gathered as if getting ready to be part of the 1 million humans demanded by the aliens. Earth leaders made public statements about the need for cooperation with the Galactic Council for the greater good. Ambassador Zika Tala seemed satisfied with what he saw. "Your species is showing wisdom by accepting the inevitable," he told Samantha during a meeting in her office. "The transition will be smoother than we anticipated," Samantha nodded. "We understand our position, Ambassador. Humanity will comply with the Council's requirements." What the ambassador didn't know was that Samantha was implementing a secret plan called Protocol Trojan Horse. Years ago, when strange signals from space were first detected, a small division of UNSA had been created to prepare for possible alien contact, including hostile scenarios. They had developed technologies and strategies that remained completely hidden from public knowledge. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Samantha met with a team of Earth's best scientists, engineers, and military strategists. The room was filled with people working on different aspects of the plan. "We have 6 days before their deadline," Samantha told the team. "Everything must be ready by then." Dr. Hayes pointed to a display showing the alien ship in orbit. "We've been analyzing their technology based on all the data we've gathered. There's something familiar about their energy signatures that we can't quite explain." General Phillips looked at the battle plans spread out on a large table. "Our forces are in position but hidden from their scans. The moment we give the signal, they'll be ready to move." Samantha looked around at the determined faces of the people working to save Earth. "The Zoraxians think we're preparing to surrender, but they're about to learn that humanity doesn't give up so easily. When they come to collect their prize, we'll be ready with a surprise of our own." Commander Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the Intrepid as it moved quietly through space near Jupiter's moon Europa. His ship was running with minimal power to avoid detection by the Zoraxian vessels. 5 other UNSA ships were also hidden among the moons of Jupiter, waiting for the right moment to act. "Status report," Daniel said to his crew. Officer Ryan Jones checked his screens. "All systems ready for quick power-up, Commander. We can be at full capacity in 15 seconds. Olivia Martinez listened carefully to all communications in the solar system. Her dark eyes were focused on her work as she monitored the alien transmissions. "Commander, I'm picking up something unusual in the Zoraxian communications. There's a pattern I haven't seen before." Daniel moved to her station. "What kind of pattern?" "It's almost like there's a second message hidden inside their regular transmissions," Olivia explained. "It doesn't match any of their usual communication protocols." Daniel thought for a moment. "Can you isolate it?" Olivia worked quickly, her fingers moving over her console. "I think so. It's going to take some time." "Do it," Daniel ordered, "and send what you find to Dr. Hayes on Earth." Back on Earth, Dr. Lauren Hayes was working in her lab studying everything they had learned about the Zoraxians. She had barely slept in days. Her red hair was messy and there were dark circles under her eyes, but she kept working. And there was something about the aliens' technology that seemed familiar to her, but she couldn't figure out what it was. A message from the Intrepid arrived on her computer. Lauren opened it and found the communication pattern that Olivia had discovered. As she studied it, her eyes widened in surprise. "This can't be," she whispered to herself. Lauren quickly accessed the UNSA database and searched for a specific file. When she found it, she compared it to the alien pattern. They were almost identical. Lauren immediately called Director Samantha Carter. "Director, I need to speak with you right away. I found something important." 30 minutes later, Lauren stood in Samantha's office with General Phillips. She showed them what she had discovered. The pattern in the Zoraxian communications matches theoretical work done by Dr. Alan Foster 10 years ago, Lauren explained. "He was working on quantum entanglement technology before he disappeared." "Dr. Foster?" General Phillips looked confused. "I remember him. Brilliant scientist. They said he had a mental breakdown and went into seclusion." "That's what everyone was told," Lauren said. "But what if he didn't? What if he was taken by the Zoraxians?" Samantha's eyes narrowed as she considered this possibility. "You think the aliens kidnapped one of our scientists? Why?" "To steal his research," Lauren suggested. "The energy signatures from their ship are remarkably similar to what Dr. Foster was developing. What if their technology is based on his work?" Samantha turned to her computer and sent a message to Eric Williams. "Check all the records for Dr. Alan Foster. Find out exactly what happened to him." While they waited for Eric's response, General Phillips reviewed the battle plans. "If their technology is based on Dr. Foster's work, could that give us an advantage?" Lauren nodded. "Possibly. If I understand how their systems work, I might be able to find a weakness." Eric's response came an hour later. He had found surveillance footage from the night Dr. Foster disappeared. The video showed strange lights outside his home and shadowy figures that didn't look human. "They took him," Samantha said quietly. "They've been stealing our technology and our people for years." Meanwhile, aboard the Intrepid, Olivia had made another discovery. "Commander, I've isolated the pattern. It's a message, encoded in a way that only someone from Earth would recognize. What does it say?" Daniel asked. Olivia looked up at him, her face pale. "It says, 'Not Galactic Council, rogues, help,' and it's signed AF? Alan Foster?" Daniel immediately sent this information to Earth. When Samantha received the message, she called an emergency meeting with her team. "We have new information. The Zoraxians are not representatives of any Galactic Council. They're rogues who use the same tactics on developing worlds across the galaxy. And Dr. Foster is alive, being held prisoner on their ship." "So everything they told us is a lie," John Nelson said. "There is no council demanding our surrender." "Exactly," Samantha replied. "They've done this before to other worlds. They show up, claim to represent a powerful alliance, and frighten the local species into submission. Then they take what they want and move on." General Phillips smiled grimly. "This changes everything. If they're just pirates pretending to be officials, they might not have the forces they claim to have." "We need to get Dr. Foster out," Lauren said. "He might know more about their weaknesses." Samantha nodded. "Commander Wright will lead a rescue team. But first, we need to neutralize their weapons. Dr. Hayes, can you use Dr. Foster's research to develop something that would disrupt their technology?" Lauren thought for a moment. "If their systems are based on his quantum entanglement theories, then yes. We could create a quantum resonance disruptor that would interfere with their weapons and propulsion. How quickly can you build it?" Samantha asked. "With the right team and resources, maybe 3 days," Lauren answered. "You have 2, Samantha told her. "The deadline is in 6 days, and we need to be ready before then." Lauren nodded and left to begin work immediately. General Phillips started coordinating with military forces around the world, preparing them for the counterattack. John Nelson continued meeting with the Zoraxians, making them believe Earth was preparing to surrender. For the next 2 days, humans all over the world worked together secretly to prepare their response to the alien threat. In underground facilities and hidden bases, scientists built quantum resonance disruptors based on Lauren's designs. Military units practiced new tactics designed to fight the aliens. UNSA ships positioned themselves strategically throughout the solar system, ready to act when the signal came. On the Zoraxian ship, Dr. Alan Foster had been a prisoner for 10 years. He was thinner now, with gray in his once dark hair, but his mind was still sharp. The aliens had forced him to help them understand his research, but he had been careful to hide certain key aspects of his work. Over the years, he had learned their language and studied their technology. He knew their weaknesses better than anyone. Alan had managed to gain limited access to the ship's communication system, enough to send hidden messages whenever he could. He hoped someone on Earth would recognize his code and understand what was happening. 3 days before the deadline, Lauren completed the first quantum resonance disruptor. It was a small device that could fit in the palm of a hand, but its effects could disable a ship the size of the Zoraxian vessel. It works by creating a field that disrupts the specific quantum frequencies their technology uses, Lauren explained to Samantha and General Phillips as they watched a demonstration. In a test chamber, a small piece of alien technology from the Zoraxian shuttle stopped working when the disruptor was activated. Can they shield against this? General Phillips asked. Lauren shook her head. Not if they don't know it's coming. The effect is instant and works on anything using the quantum entanglement principles Dr. Foster developed. Samantha looked pleased. How many can we make before the deadline? We have production facilities working around the clock, Lauren answered. We'll have enough to equip all our ships and major defense installations. Samantha turned to General Phillips, prepare your forces. We'll need to coordinate the attack perfectly. The moment we activate the disruptors, Commander Wright's team will board their ship to rescue Dr. Foster and any other prisoners. General Phillips nodded. My people will be ready. As the deadline approached, Ambassador Z.K. Tala requested a final meeting at the Lunar Diplomatic Station to formalize Earth's surrender. John Nelson agreed, suggesting that Director Carter would personally attend to sign the official documents. The ambassador believes we're going to surrender, Samantha told her team during their final planning session. That gives us the element of surprise. Once we activate the disruptors and their technology fails, they'll be defenseless, the team nodded in agreement. The plan was set. In 2 days, the Zoraxians would discover that trying to blackmail humanity had been the biggest mistake of their lives. The day of the supposed surrender arrived bright and clear. The Lunar Diplomatic Station gleamed in the sunlight as shuttles arrived carrying representatives from Earth. Director Samantha Carter led the delegation, dressed in a formal blue uniform that represented the United Nations Space Administration. John Nelson walked beside her, carrying a folder that supposedly contained the surrender documents. Ambassador Stala and 5 other Zoraxians were already waiting in the main conference room when the humans arrived. The aliens stood tall with their blue skin and black eyes showing no emotion. They believed they had won without firing a shot. Director Carter, the ambassador said with a slight nod of his head. I am pleased to see that humans have chosen the path of wisdom. Samantha smiled politely. We understand our position, Ambassador. Shall we begin the ceremony? The large conference table had been decorated with flags from Earth nations. Chairs were arranged around it for all the delegates. On a small side table, refreshments had been prepared. Everything looked perfect for a formal diplomatic meeting. The Zoraxians had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. As everyone took their seats, Samantha opened a small communication device that looked like a simple tablet. She pretended to review the surrender documents while actually sending a coded message to all UNSA forces. The message contained one word: begin. Throughout the solar system, UNSA ships that had been hiding among moons and asteroids suddenly powered up to full capacity. The Intrepid led a group of 6 ships toward the main Zoraxian vessel. On each ship, crews activated the quantum resonance disruptors that Dr. Lauren Hayes had designed. Near Earth, other ships moved into position around smaller Zoraxian craft. Military bases on Earth, Mars, and Europa activated their own disruptors. All across the solar system, the invisible wave of quantum disruption spread, targeting the specific frequencies used by the alien technology. In the conference room on the Lunar Diplomatic Station, Samantha watched the small indicator on her tablet turn from red to green, showing that the disruptors were working. She looked up at Ambassador Z. Katala and smiled, but this time her smile was different. "Ambassador," she said calmly, "before we proceed, I'd like to clarify something. You claim to represent the Galactic Council, but we know that's not true. You're rogues who prey on developing worlds using the same tactics again and again." The ambassador's black eyes widened slightly, the only sign of surprise on his alien face. "Your accusations are meaningless. The Council's authority is absolute." "There is no council," Samantha replied. "At least not the one you claim to represent. We've been in contact with Dr. Alan Foster, whom you kidnapped 10 years ago. He's told us everything about you." The ambassador's hand moved toward a device on his wrist, but nothing happened when he touched it. Confusion showed on his face as he tried again. "Your technology won't work anymore," Samantha explained. "It's based on quantum entanglement principles developed by Dr. Foster, and we've created a way to disrupt those systems." For the first time, fear showed in the ambassador's eyes. He stood up quickly, knocking over his chair. "This is a mistake. You will regret. Our ship will destroy this station and your entire world." John Nelson shook his head. "Your ship is currently being boarded by UNSA forces. Your weapons and propulsion systems are offline. You have no way to contact your crew or escape." Meanwhile, Commander Daniel Wright led a team of 20 soldiers in spacesuits as they approached the Zoraxian mothership. The massive vessel floated silently in space, its engines and defense systems disabled by the quantum resonance disruptors. The boarding team used small thrusters to guide themselves to an airlock on the ship's side. "Remember, our primary objective is to locate and extract Dr. Foster and any other prisoners," Daniel told his team as they prepared to enter the ship. "Secondary objective is to secure the command center." Officer Olivia Martinez was part of the boarding team. She carried special equipment to hack into the ship's systems once they were inside. "The ship's internal layout matches the schematics Dr. Foster sent us. The prisoner section should be 3 levels down from this entry point." The team cut through the airlock door and entered the alien vessel. Inside they found chaos. Without their technology working, the Zoraxian crew was disorganized and confused. Some tried to fight with physical weapons, but they were quickly subdued by the human soldiers. Daniel split his team into 2 groups. He led one group toward the command center, while Olivia led the second group to find the prisoners. They moved quickly through the strange corridors of the ship, encountering only scattered resistance. Olivia's team reached the prisoner section first. They found cells containing beings from several different species. Some looked almost human, while others were completely alien in appearance. In the last cell, they found Dr. Alan Foster. He was thin and his hair had turned gray, but his eyes lit up when he saw the human rescue team. "I knew someone would understand my messages eventually," he said as Olivia helped him out of the cell. "There are others you need to free too. The Zoraxians have been doing this for centuries, taking people from developing worlds and forcing them to work for them." Back on the lunar diplomatic station, Samantha kept Ambassador Z. Katala and his delegation contained in the conference room. Earth security forces had surrounded them, weapons ready if needed. "Your deception has failed," Samantha told the ambassador. "We know you're not part of any legitimate galactic authority. You're pirates who use fear to subjugate other species." The ambassador's confident manner had disappeared completely. "You don't understand what you're doing. We have allies who will come looking for us." "More rogues like you, perhaps," Samantha replied, "but we'll be ready for them too." "Earth is not the easy target you thought we were." On the Zoraxian ship, Daniel's team had secured the command center. The alien crew had surrendered once they realized their technology no longer worked. Daniel stood on the bridge of the massive vessel, looking at the strange controls and displays. "Status report," he said into his communication device. "Prisoner section secure," Olivia reported. "We found Dr. Foster and 23 other captives from 6 different species. Some have been here for decades." "Command center secure," Daniel confirmed. "Most of the crew has surrendered." We're downloading their database now. The information from the Zoraxian database was transmitted to Earth immediately. It contained star charts, information about other worlds, and records of the Zoraxians' previous conquests. Most importantly, it included data about legitimate galactic powers that the Zoraxians had been careful to avoid. In UNSA headquarters, Dr. Lauren Hayes began analyzing the database with help from Dr. Foster, who had been brought back to Earth. Despite his years in captivity, Dr. Foster was eager to help humanity prepare for its new role among the stars. The Zoraxians have been doing this for at least 300 years, Dr. Foster explained as he showed Lauren the records. They find worlds that are just developing space travel, pretend to be representatives of a powerful alliance, and frighten them into submission. Then they take resources, technology, and people before moving on to the next target. Are there other species doing the same thing? Lauren asked. Dr. Foster nodded. Several. But there are also legitimate alliances and peaceful civilizations. The galaxy is as complex as Earth with good and bad actors. In the Lunar Diplomatic Station, Ambassador Zikatala and his delegation were placed under guard. Samantha stood before them, no longer pretending to be intimidated. You came to our world threatening destruction if we didn't submit to your demands, she said. Now your ship is under our control, your crew has surrendered, and your deception has been exposed. What do you have to say for yourself? The ambassador looked up at her with hatred in his black eyes. You've made a powerful enemy today, Samantha smiled coldly. No, what we've done is stop a bully. And we're going to make sure you can never threaten another developing world again. The news of humanity's victory spread quickly across Earth and its colonies. People celebrated in streets around the world. For the first time in history, all nations had worked together against a common threat, and they had won without a single human casualty. As night fell over UNSA headquarters, Samantha stood with General Phillips, John Nelson, and Dr. Hayes, looking at the stars visible through the large window in her office. What happens now? John asked. Now, Samantha said, we use the Zoraxian ship and database to reach out to other worlds, Dr. Foster says. There are peaceful civilizations out there that might be willing to establish real diplomatic relations with us. And the Zoraxians? General, Phillips asked. Samantha's face grew serious. They'll face justice for what they've done, not just to us, but to all the species they've victimized over the centuries. Dr. Hayes looked thoughtful. They thought they could blackmail humanity into submission. They had no idea what they were really dealing with. Samantha nodded. That was their biggest mistake. They didn't understand that threatening us would only unite us against them. 6 months passed since humanity defeated the Zoraxians. Earth had changed in many ways during that time. The knowledge gained from the alien database accelerated human technology by decades. UNSA engineers, working with Dr. Alan Foster, adapted the Zoraxian drive systems for human ships, making travel between planets faster than ever before. The Intrepid, now upgraded with the new drive system, prepared for its most important mission yet. Commander Daniel Wright stood on the bridge, watching his crew make final preparations. The ship would be the first human vessel to travel beyond the solar system, carrying a message of peace and friendship to other worlds. All systems ready, Commander, Officer Ryan Jones reported. The young man had been promoted after his role. In the Zoraxian incident, Olivia Martinez, now Chief Communications Officer, looked up from her station. The translation matrices are installed and working perfectly. We should be able to communicate with any of the species listed in the database. Daniel nodded. Good work, everyone. We leave in 2 hours. This is a historic day for humanity. Back on Earth, Director Samantha Carter addressed the United Nations General Assembly. Representatives from every nation listened as she explained the mission of the Intrepid. Today we take our first steps into the wider galaxy, Samantha said. The Intrepid will visit 7 worlds that were also victims of the Zoraxians. We will share what we've learned and offer to form a mutual defense alliance. Together we can ensure that no one else falls victim to such deception again. The Zoraxian prisoners had provided valuable information during their questioning. They admitted that their species had been operating this scam for centuries, pretending to represent a powerful galactic authority to intimidate developing worlds. They targeted planets that had just discovered space travel but lacked the technology to defend against advanced weapons. Vincent Harper and the other human collaborators faced trial for treason. During his testimony, Vincent revealed that fear, not greed, had motivated his betrayal. "They showed me what they could do," he told the court. "They made an entire research facility disappear with 30 people inside. I believe they would destroy Earth if we didn't cooperate." The Intrepid departed Earth orbit on schedule, carrying a crew of 100 humans and 2 former Zoraxian prisoners who had agreed to help in exchange for reduced sentences. Using the star charts from the alien database, they set course for Arcadia, a planet whose people had also been victimized by the Zoraxians. 20 years earlier, the journey took just 3 weeks using the adapted drive system. When they arrived, they found a beautiful blue-green world with 2 small moons. The Arcadians were humanoid, but with purple skin and silver hair. They were initially frightened when the Intrepid appeared in their sky, believing the Zoraxians had returned. Daniel and Olivia led the first contact team to the surface in a shuttle. They landed in an open area outside the Arcadian capital city. A group of nervous-looking Arcadians waited for them, holding weapons that seemed primitive compared to Earth. Technology. Olivia activated the translation device Dr. Hayes had developed. "People of Arcadia," she said, her words converted into the musical language of the Arcadians. "We come from Earth, like you. Our world was threatened by the Zoraxians, but we defeated them. We bring news of their capture and offer friendship." The Arcadians were suspicious at first, but when they saw the Zoraxian prisoners and heard the full story, they welcomed the humans warmly. Their leader, a female named Lyria, embraced Daniel in their traditional greeting. "For 20 cycles, we have lived in fear of their return," Lyria said. "You have given us hope again." The Intrepid visited 6 more worlds over the next few months. On each planet, they found species recovering from Zoraxian exploitation. Some had been reduced to primitive conditions after having their resources stolen. Others had managed to rebuild but remained isolated, afraid to draw attention to themselves. All were grateful to learn that the Zoraxians had been stopped on the planet Nebulon. They found a species that had been attacked just 1 year earlier. The Nebulonians were still suffering, their cities damaged and their population reduced. The humans offered medical aid and technology to help them rebuild. By the time the Intrepid returned to Earth, agreements had been signed with all 7 worlds to form the Sovereign Systems Coalition, a mutual defense alliance. Each member world would share technology and knowledge, while respecting the independence of all others. Earth had changed even more during the Intrepid's absence. The knowledge gained from studying the Zoraxian ship had led to advances in medicine, energy production, and communications. Nations that had once been enemies now worked together on space exploration and defense projects. The common threat had united humanity in ways that seemed impossible before. 1 year after the attempted blackmail, a new ship appeared in Earth orbit. It was unlike the Zoraxian vessel, with a graceful design that seemed to flow like water. Scans showed it was more advanced than even the Zoraxian technology. Director Samantha Carter, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to interstellar affairs, traveled to the Lunar Diplomatic Station to meet the visitors. General Phillips accompanied her, along with Dr. Hayes and John Nelson. The aliens called themselves the Midorians. They were a tall, slender species with golden skin that seemed to glow from within. Their ambassador, Teller, spoke perfect English, having studied Earth's languages before their arrival. "We have heard of your victory over the Zoraxians," Teller said as they sat in the conference room. "It is most impressive. Few developing species have managed to resist them successfully." "We were fortunate to discover their deception in time," Samantha replied. Teller's expression showed what might have been a smile. "Fortune favors the prepared. Our intelligence suggests you had contingency plans in place long before they arrived." Samantha nodded. "We believed it was wise to be ready for any possibility. The Midorians are one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations in this sector," Teller explained. We have observed your species for some time but chose not to interfere in your development. Now that you have defeated the Zoraxians and formed the Sovereign Systems Coalition, we feel it is appropriate to establish formal relations." General Phillips leaned forward. "If you've been watching us, why didn't you warn us about the Zoraxians?" "Each species must find its own path," Teller replied. "Those who are protected never learn to protect themselves. The fact that humanity succeeded without assistance confirms that you are ready to join the greater galactic community." The meetings with the Midorians continued for several days. They offered trade agreements and cultural exchanges but were careful not to share technology that humans weren't ready to understand. They explained that there were many advanced civilizations in the galaxy, some friendly and others hostile. On the final day of talks, Teller asked a question that had been on his mind. "How did humans prevail against technology so far beyond your own? The Zoraxians have conquered worlds much more advanced than Earth." General Phillips smiled. They thought they were dealing with a primitive species divided by petty differences. What they didn't understand is that nothing unites humanity like an external threat. They tried to blackmail us, expecting submission. Instead, they got extinction. Let that be a lesson to anyone else who underestimates Earth." Teller nodded respectfully. "Consider your message received, humans. The galaxy will certainly be watching Earth with great interest going forward." As Samantha walked back to her shuttle after the meeting, she looked up at the stars visible through the station's clear dome. There were thousands of worlds out there, some friendly, some not. Humanity had taken its first steps into a much larger universe, and there would be many challenges ahead. But Earth had proven it could face those challenges united. The Zoraxians had tried to blackmail humanity, and in doing so, they had accidentally helped humanity find its strength. The Council hadn't expected Earth's response, and neither would anyone else who made the mistake of threatening Earth in the future.